Well, it's finally above freezing down here in the deep south again. And it's a mess. It's still a mess. Everything is like a swamp. But we're back at the shop here and we're making progress on our various projects. No progress on this thing right now. We're still gathering parts for it. We probably won't touch the Gambler Valiant again, I'm going to say at least a month before the weather really starts to get nice and it's happy to work out here again. So she's on hold. Although we do have, we got we got a truck oil pan distributor. We've just been gathering parts, right? Also the Miata, we've been gathering parts for the Miata too. Got my trunk lid. I picked up this roll bar for 50 bucks. You know, it's so refreshing working with something that you can get just cheap parts for, like they're everywhere. I had to get an ignition cylinder and a key for the thing, 20 bucks, right? Try it out with these old Mopars. But that's another one, that's coming in next. But I've been focusing mostly on getting our Plan Z Dart ready for its maiden shakedown runs. And one of the things that we did, one of the things that's going on with this car is that we converted from stick to automatic. And that leads us to the I got some good stuff for you. That leads us to the tech portion of this video. We are converting from stick to automatic, and because of that, there are certain things that need to be done with the exhaust on the car. So let me explain this to you. This has happened to a lot of you guys. It's happened to all of us, okay? You have your car, your street strip car, okay? And you're taking it to the track and you're running the car and you're getting good consistent times out of it. And you're like, let me see what happens if I drop the exhaust on this. And you know it's going to go faster with the exhaust off of it, right? Because, you know, race cars don't have exhausts. So if you drop yours, it's got to go quicker, open headers, right? So you drop your exhaust and the car slows down 2/10 right off the bat. Now, what happened, right? Maybe it's lean, right? So you make a couple of jet changes. Still, nothing. Still 2/10 off, 2.5 off. What the hell happened? You bolt the exhaust back up and boom, the car goes back and runs exactly the way it did. It's because of the headers, okay? And it's because of the way headers are designed. Your street and strip car has street headers on them, meaning that you have an abbreviated collector and a flange that you're going to bolt the rest of your exhaust to. The difference between street headers and race headers, like it says, here's your short collector. A race header doesn't have the flange here and it has a much longer collector. And the collector can be upwards of 1.5 feet long past the point where the tubes merge. So now what happens is when you drop the exhaust, you're taking away, so here's the collector, but you're taking away the column, the smooth column that pulls. When you've got an abbreviated column, collector like this, where you've only got about 4 inches between the point where the pipes merge and the open end here, there's so much turbulence and confusion going on in this section with these pipes feeding them what they do, that this area here is too short to create a column that smooths and helps to scavenge. So you've got the individual pipes handling their exhaust pulses and moving everything forward, but you don't have the collection of exhaust here pulling as a smooth column. And so you don't get the true scavenging effect of the headers. Actually, the truth of the matter is, running headers like this, street headers open like this, is just about exactly the same as just running a plain exhaust manifold. You're not getting the benefit of the header, and that's where the collector comes in, collector extension. So here, this is one that I made for Bottle Rocket, because I wanted to be able to switch between the mufflers that are on the car and open pipes. So I whipped these up real quick. And all it is just a 3-inch pipe and a flange with nuts welded to it so I can take it on and off like in a minute. And it's a short collector. It'll mount up exactly like that, and it'll give me approximately 11 inches between the collection point and the end of the collector. And because it's a stick car and we don't have to drive it out, right? We don't have to attack the converter with it. The car is going to leave the starting line on the momentum of on the inertia of the flywheel. We don't have to be too concerned with bottom end torque. We're really concerned with torque from around 3,000, 4,000 RPM up. All stick cars are kind of like that. But now when you go to an automatic, even with a super loose converter, the motor still needs to make enough bottom end torque to hit the converter. And that's where collector tuning and collector length is like crucial. So the situation with this car is that it has 3-into-2 headers, or 3-into-1, 6-into-2 headers, and it has 2.5-inch collectors. Now, when it was a stick, we ran the collector short on it, but now we're going to an automatic. So at the initial hit, it needs to make as much torque as possible to attack the converter and go. And the longer the collector, the longer the extension, the more bottom end torque you make. So on that car, I've got a set of 18-inch long extensions right now on the collector. So it's given us approximately 24 inches total of the collector length. And I'm going to trim that as we go. Now, one of the methods of doing it is to use a grease pencil or a paint stripe, lots of different things that you would paint onto the collector, okay? And you make a run with the car, and wherever you see that line still intact, well, that's where you're supposed to trim. There is one little caveat with that, and that's the fact that you're getting a heat signature of the entire run and not a heat signature of the early part of the run, which is where it counts. So collector length basically works like this. Below the engine's torque peak is where the length of the collector is really important. Once you get above the torque peak, you want to make the collector shorter and shorter and shorter. There's a lot of downside to having too short of a collector as far as getting the car off the starting line. But there's almost no downside to having too long a collector up on the top end, as long as there's no other restrictions. So again, ladies, on the stick car, you want a shorter extension, and also, you know, it's easy enough. You say if you're launching the car and you're like, you know what, it needs a little more bottom end. It's easy enough to take another piece of pipe. This one's obviously too small for this. It's easy enough to take another piece of pipe like this, cut slots in it. All right, so you take your cut-off wheel, cut it like that, cut it like that, cut it, you know, cut it with slots, slip it over, and then you can band clamp it in place. And so let's say, you know, I want to add an extra 4 inches. Well, I'd get a 4-inch pipe that'll fit over the outside of that and do exactly that. And then you can trim and tailor to where the car works best. That's if you're getting into real high science. So, high science. Now, there's also programs like PipeMax, I believe it is, has a program where you can calculate collector length. But I tell you, years ago, over the years, I messed with all the different formulas and all the different, and you know, the truth of the matter is, there's no substitute for just going out there and testing, right? You know, just make them longer or make them shorter. It's cheap, it costs you a couple of dollars. It's that, but for performance gains, like there's no comparison. There's nothing you're going to come up with that's as cheap and effective as a well-tuned header collector. So that's it for right now. You know, the car's all done now. There's nothing else mechanically I need to do to it. So I just have to wait for it to, like, it's a swamp out there. It's a mess. So it'll probably be at least a week before everything is like dried up and the road isn't all, you know, salty and dirty and everything else. So probably about a week or so before we can take the car out and start hitting it off the 60s, you know, and get some numbers out of it. And Bottle Rocket is ready to go. She's just sitting there waiting to go for the race May 8th. I said 17th last week. It's not the 17th, it's May 8th at Jake's Dragway in Alabama, and it's 318 Fest. So that's going to be a fun event. We're really looking forward to going to that one. So that's it. And tomorrow we get back to our kitchen engine rebuild series. We got way put off with that because I don't want to do any work here, right? I don't want to do any work in the garage at the house. I want to do it all outside, you know, and in the kitchen, the way, you know, you guys do, like to keep it in the spirit of doing it that way. And it's just been miserable out there. And we were supposed to have the block back late last week, and we won't get that back for at least another week or so. So, you know, we're just dealing with the weather the same way that you guys are. But we'll get everything done, everything on track. So that's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow.